power of truth for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we are here in the WYSL studio. And of course, as always, I've got Bob Savage here with me.
That would be me over here.
Yep. And, looking out the window. For those of you who don't know this, actually, I talk about this all the time on the air, but where I'm sitting in studio, I can see straight out the window. So every time I sit here and start the show telling you guys how it looks outside, it's because that's the first thing I see.
It's the high-tech color weather window here at WYSL.
Yeah, absolutely. So this weekend was interesting. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what happened down in Putnam County, because I think that it is really, really important to discuss, especially because there's so much bad information out there, and there is so much information that's being misrepresented, and there's also a lot of missing information as well. It's just stuff that we clearly don't have yet, and I want to make sure that everybody is aware of what information is there, what information isn't there, because there have been just a lot of just bad information. So you guys are talking about, or you're thinking, well, what's Andrew talking about? I have no idea.
Right.
What information? What happened in Putnam County? You may or may not have seen all across social media and starting to bleed into the news cycle, what was being called a red flag confiscation of an Army vet's firearms or magazines in Putnam County. And that is exactly how this was spread across social media. And I want to have a discussion about this because there's a few things that we need to talk about. And some of you guys are going to be upset. I know you're going to be upset because I see you upset on social media, and I'm assuming that's not going to be any different online here while we're streaming or on air. And as I mentioned that, I am popping up our live stream chat software right now, so I can take your questions and comments. You guys are also welcome to call into the show here. Phone number 585-346-3000. If you've got questions, if you've got comments, please feel free to call in. I do have the chat software up, so if you guys want to comment in on Facebook or YouTube, you can. So the first thing I'm going to do is tell you guys I'm actually not going to use this person's name. And the reason I'm not going to use his name is because I think that this situation is not a good situation. I hope that he gets better. He's got a lot of his personal information out there now because of this. I'm sure that's not helping him. I'm sure it's not helping his family. So for those purposes, I'm not going to use this guy's name on the air. I might reference his Instagram screen name, but that's it. So with that being said, what was put all over social media, and I actually posted about on my page as well, because the information when I first received it from multiple sources was that there was a red flag confiscation going on in Putnam County. And I knew that if I was in that situation where the police were potentially knocking on my door, saying, hey, we're here to take your legally owned firearms away and possibly to take you away, to take away your personal property, I know I would hope that when I called for help and reached out to people saying I need help, that those people who saw that cry for help would help me, and that's what my hope was. So that's the reason I posted that. And later you guys will see I actually did take that post down off of my page. The reason I did is because I saw people were still sharing it as if that was what was going on. So I actually took that down. Facebook did not take that down. The police did not take that down. That was my personal choice. I didn't want bad, wrong information to be spread across social media on my account. So with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about what we currently actually know about the situation. And then I'm going to talk with you guys about not just what we don't know, but a lot of the inaccuracies that were spread across social media, so that hopefully if you see this online, you can point this out to people and say, hey, this isn't true. This is literally fake news. Stop it. You're not helping. You're making it worse. Before I go into that, the Putnam County Sheriff's Department was actually supposed to be doing a press release right now. Right now, they're supposed to be doing a press release. I did call them before doing this radio show. I actually called them around 11 o'clock this morning and said, hey, I'd like to talk to whoever's in charge of doing your media relations. I would like to, get a statement from you guys because I'll be talking about this live on the radio today. I would love to hear what you guys had to say about this. I had some questions I wanted to go over on the air. They took down my number, asked what station, all that to make sure that it was real, not just some random person calling. They said they would call back. I didn't hear back from them.
That's surprising.
Yeah. And I kind of assumed that might be the case, but I also thought that since they were having a press release at 1 p.m., that their thought was, you know what, people will hear it when they hear it type thing. Well, not so long ago, and I took a screenshot just to show you guys, they shut down their Facebook page. The Putnam County Sheriff's Department Facebook page is gone, totally unpublished. Somebody sent me a message about it. I'm like, no, I literally am on it right here. I refreshed my page. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. So they took it down. The other thing that they did is I went to their website. They actually canceled the press conference. So I don't know what the status is. And for those of you listening to the show, they're maybe wondering, does that mean the police were in the wrong here? Does that mean their statement wasn't true? Like any of that? I don't believe that that's what any of this means. I think that's really jumping to conclusions. What I believe is that they've been inundated with calls. I heard that when the event was going on, they received so many calls, not just locally, but from out of state across the country, that they couldn't run EMS. So if somebody was trying to call in to 911 over a heart attack or heart failure or something like that, people could not get through. They couldn't actually service local EMS. I suspect, although I was able to get through on the phone, but clearly they didn't have the time to call me back. I suspect that they're still overwhelmed, and maybe maybe they've got to get some stuff in order, or some people are suggesting that maybe they screwed up. That's a possibility too. But I'm not going to jump.
The police, you mean?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. I'm just going to say I'm open-minded as to why, and that's basically it.
So where can people go to get real information on this? Because I'm not seeing much in the media about. While we've been talking, I've been doing internet searches, and you do a search for Army vet guns confiscated. You get 3-4-year-old stories,
Yep.
And then finally I've located something here developing. This is from 2 days ago, libertyblock.com, that gives an account of what happened, but we don't know, if that's verifiable or not.
Yeah.
So this is the case from Mahopac.
Yeah. So essentially, if you want to find legitimate information on this, you're going to be pretty hard pressed to find information on it. So the only thing that there is,
that's unfortunate. We don't like that.
No, it's not a good situation. Basically, what we have is we have a press release from the police department, and I'm glad I downloaded it because the only place I could find it was on their Facebook page that doesn't exist anymore. So I do have a copy of that. Maybe we'll read it on air and just pull his name out of it.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Why don't we do that? So here's the press release. They published this on the 23rd.
How long is that, Andrew? Do we want to do a break first, or do you want to?
It's about 3 paragraphs.
Yeah, go ahead. We got time.
We'll get through it. Yeah. All right. So here's their press release. This was yesterday. It says on 11/23/2019 at approximately 2:19 p.m., a member of the Town of Caramel Police Department was in the area of 50 Putnam Drive investigating a prior domestic incident involving the 28-year-old resident. His name's in there. I'm not going to read it. The officer, hearing what he believed to be a gunshot come from the residence, requested backup. When additional officers arrived, person's name was observed in his doorway acting in an agitated state before returning inside his garage apartment and barricading himself. As a safety precaution, officers evacuated the neighboring houses and alerted the Putnam County Emergency Response Team and negotiation team. Negotiators made contact with person's name, and after 6 hours of discussion, they were successful in convincing him to surrender without incident. Thanks to their tireless efforts, no civilians or police were harmed. Person's name was subsequently arrested on a felony warrant issued by Town Justice Jacob Bellis, stemming from the previous domestic incident. Person's name was charged with Penal Law 140.25, burglary second degree, a Class C felony, 140.15, criminal trespass, a Class A misdemeanor, 215.50, criminal contempt second degree, a Class A misdemeanor, 240.30, aggravated harassment second degree, a Class A misdemeanor, 155.25, petty larceny, a Class A misdemeanor. He was arraigned in Carmel Town Justice Court.
Carmel, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, Carmel.
Is he in custody? Is he in the clink?
I'm not sure. There's actually 2 more sentences, it looks like, at the end here. It says, at the conclusion of this incident, no weapons or ammunition feeding devices were found or seized, despite numerous false social media posts to the contrary. The Town of Caramel Police Department was assisted by Putnam County Sheriff's Office and the Westchester County Department of Public Safety, Special Response, and Negotiation teams. So, we're going to take a break. And then when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about this. And we're going to talk about social media because I see some problems here. All right, we're going to take a break, guys, on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York on the WYSL station.
All right, we are back on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We are talking about the situation in Putnam County that was an alleged red flag confiscation. However, there were no firearms confiscated or magazines.
And the Putnam County Sheriff's Department says no red flag order was issued.
That is what they say. So what I want to share with you guys is what information has surfaced, information that I believe at this point to be valid. Some of the information coming from police statements, others of the information coming from a friend of this individual who was on the phone with him, at least during a portion of when this happened, who knows the family, who has some background. And I'm going to talk to you guys about secondhand information in the second half of the show because it is not always reliable. In fact, many times it's not. So what we know about this individual is that he is a military veteran. And I think that it's important to put that out there because I think that's the reason this blew up so much, or at least one of the reasons. You know, when you have a military veteran going out on social media and asking for help, we want to help our veterans. You know, absolutely. We have respect for them. We want to help them. It is a natural thing to want to do that. And I would say, in general, definitely what you might call a Second Amendment community, the Constitution community, the Patriot community. I'm sure when they saw veteran calling for help, also gun confiscation, I'm sure that just triggered so many people that they rushed into action, thoughts, sharing of information that they didn't know if it was true or not, as a emotional and honestly a knee-jerk reaction, the same type of reaction that we get upset when the left does this, you know. So we really have to be careful about this. It is my understanding that this person has been dealing with PTSD and has been going to the VA for this, has prior issues with domestic incidents, was not living with his wife and child, which plays into a little bit about why the police were there to begin with, and that there was no red flag portion to this, that there was kind of a checkup and potentially, and I say potentially because this piece I haven't had verified, and I was really hoping to talk to Putnam County Sheriff about this, to ask them about this. But the information I was given from a fairly reliable source, somebody that I believe is close enough to the situation to know, was that he was actually being served a warrant for some of these other charges, and that's how this happened. That's what they were doing there. I don't know that that's true, you know, so I'm just going to put that right there, that may not be true. I was hoping to validate that information. But the other stuff is what we do know. You know, he's a veteran, suffering, you know, going through some hard times in his life. And it sounds to me like he hit a breaking point. and that's what kind of triggered this cry for help in the way that he could. And I spent a lot of time looking through his videos that he posted on social media while this was happening. Unfortunately, I didn't see them till the very end, because I can tell that it was daylight when he was posting these. It was fairly late at night when I was seeing some of this stuff. And he seemed kind of confused, disorganized. He was definitely drinking. I mean, he was drinking whiskey there, on camera. He was saying things about 30-round magazines that would lead you to believe that could have been used as evidence against him, although there wasn't any magazines in the house. So that just raises some concern.
Well, one thing that we think we do know, I would assume from what you've set forth, is the officer who claimed he heard a shot fired didn't hear a shot fired, because I don't see any report anywhere. I've been looking as we've been doing the show, and I've been going through a number of somewhat confusing online posts about this case. There's no account of any shots ever having actually been fired.
Correct.
So what was the impetus for that?
Yeah, and that to me is definitely one of the top things I had on my list to ask the sheriff's department is, what you guys said in your statement that the officer heard what he thought was a gunshot, which is what prompted call for backup. What was that? Did you guys figure out what that was?
Did cars backfire anymore? I mean, my snowblower backfired this morning when I tried to test start it.
Yeah.
But I have to say that a snowblower backfiring does not sound like a gunshot. No. At least not to me.
No, it doesn't. So that's a big question I have, whether or not I don't want to say whether or not that was legitimate. I think there was enough area of concern. Did somebody slip up and say, yeah, I was really nervous for him. Then, I heard what I thought was a gunshot, and, just insert thing here, or was there something credible? I have seen nothing to explain that part of their statement at all. And we should be critical of that. We should hold them to that, because it's very possible that this instance was a dangerous, bad situation, and maybe the officers were trying to do the right thing. It does not sound like they were there to confiscate his firearms. It doesn't sound like they were there for anything other than business due to other things that happened that week and that day. So with that being said, if you're an officer and you go into that situation and you think something's wrong, maybe they didn't have enough justification, and maybe somebody slipped up and did something they shouldn't have. I don't know. Or maybe there is a perfectly reasonable, honest explanation for that. Unfortunately, since we don't have answers to these questions and there's no press release, there's really no way for us to know. There's no way for us to assess anything more than the statement that they published yesterday. And since they canceled the press conference, there's no additional information.
I do have this. This is from ammoland.com. According to Carmel Police Chief Michael Carzari, social media attention prolonged the event. He blamed the internet attention for the length of the standoff. Quote, the negotiators were very close many times to getting the individual to come out of the residence peacefully, and the posts that were on Instagram were just inviting him. I think they mean inciting him. Yeah. Chief Carzari told reporters at the scene, quote, this is a person in crisis, having a mental illness, having issues, and he didn't need the people on social media telling him his rights are being violated. He needed help, medical help. Yeah. And the police are complaining that this individual's followers took to blowing up the phone lines of the Carmel Police as well as the Putnam's Sheriff's Department. Callers even overloaded the 911 system, causing callers to get busy signals because lines were tied up with supporters concerned for this individual's safety. So that's not good.
Yeah, so and
that doesn't accomplish anything if that happens.
Absolutely. And I want to point out here, his videos definitely seemed attention seeking. especially the beginning ones. I mean, he's hanging out of a window, rigged up in a plate carrier, with his whiskey there, cheering, not cheering, but, tapping his glass to the camera, that sort of thing definitely seemed to me like somebody who was not in the right state, but also somebody who was maybe, at least in the beginning, enjoying a little bit of the attention while also being very upset about his situation. And I will say, when I looked at his Instagram account, and that's the account that he used to publish this stuff, he had maybe about 5,000 followers is what I saw.
I saw 1,100. Well,
a couple hours later, he had over 130,000 followers.
Yeah.
I mean, so definitely social media spiked. And I did see pictures, unfortunately, screenshots of people encouraging him to fight with the police over the situation. So we're going to talk about social media next, guys. We're going to take a real quick break here on Radio Free New York. When we come back, we're going to talk about social media, the role it plays, and also disinformation, how it can make things worse. We'll be back on Radio Free New York.
You're listening to the voice of liberty. WYSL. AM 1040 Avon, Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, FM 95.5 Spencerport, and WYSL1040.com everywhere.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York on WYSL. AM 1040, FM 92.1, and FM 95.5 West.
Before we go any further in this, I just want to pass along a couple contact things for folks. If you know somebody who's in crisis, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. I believe 8255 spells talk. Then there's WTTA, Walk the Talk America, WTTA.org, and Vet to Vet Assistance, 888-777-4443. Andrew?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's something that we're going to talk about later, is how important it is for us to reach out to our veterans, talk with them, make sure they know that we're here and get them the help that they need, because there's a lot that we can take away from this situation. And I think one of the number one things that we can take away is that, veteran suicide is a very real thing. There are 22 veteran suicides a day, or one every 65 minutes, which means realistically, during this show, a veteran probably committed suicide. So we need to be aware of that. We need to reach out to our veterans, make sure they know and understand that you are there for them. However big or small their issue is, that you'll be there for them, whether they need a phone call, just somebody to talk to, whatever, that they feel safe and comfortable reaching out. And you never know what that issue might be. That could be a family issue. That could be financial issues. That could just be dealing with something at work issues. We need to be there for each other as people, and that doesn't extend only to our veterans. I mean, we're talking about veterans right now, but there's a lot of sick people out there. There's a lot of people who need help, and as a community, we need to come together and be there for them. So I am reading through your guys' comments here on the live stream, and Michael on Facebook mentions that small town police departments, they're not practiced in giving out press releases. They probably don't have a dedicated person to deal with that. Yes, actually, when I spoke to the person on the phone, that was pretty clear. The lady didn't really know who to send me to, who to get me to. They didn't have a dedicated press person. Ultimately, they were like, well, it's either going to be the chief or the captain, I guess, but they're in a meeting right now. So yeah, I agree 100%. They didn't have a dedicated media person. Like Monroe County Sheriff, we have at least one person dedicated to media relations, and handling that sort of thing. We're a much more densely populated county. So absolutely. Michelle says, I think it was blown up way more than what it was. Yes, absolutely. And that's what we're going to talk about with social media and how social media can perpetuate this stuff, especially bad information. Mike says 5,000 to 130,000. He's referring to the number of followers that began following this guy's Instagram page as this was happening. So he says 5,000 to 30,000 followers should be a message to politicians. I agree. That's, those followers came because they thought it was a red flag issue.
What would that message be to the politicians?
Well, I would like to think that message is that if that actually was a red flag confiscation, that those people oppose that and they're following the situation because it's something that's important to them. Now, the politicians aren't going to look at that message and see that message. The only way that message is getting across is if that 130,000 new followers that this guy has go to the polls and vote these people out.
Exactly. I mean, if the politicians cared what we thought about, there wouldn't have been a SAFE Act to begin with, and there wouldn't be red flag laws to begin with.
Exactly.
I think that, first of all, we need to take a chill pill here, everybody. These red flag laws are going to be found unconstitutional. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
they're going to be struck down because they're a clear violation of due process. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
they're totally stupid, and there's a tremendous backlash developing about this. So we don't need to be inciting riots or sicking angry hordes on law enforcement. That does not accomplish anything and makes the gun rights people look like nuts.
It does, absolutely. And that's an issue here. I mean, people going off on unvalidated information, saying that they're going to do all sorts of things that are clearly should not be being discussed on social media. You want to talk about red flag laws. I wonder how many of these people online posting the stuff that they've been posting are going to end up with a knock on their door, saying things like, oh, they're going to go storm the police department and things like that. It's not.
Well, I mean, except in egregious cases, I don't think they should get a knock on their door because we have a thing called the First Amendment too. And but it all depends on what is said, obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, incitement to riot is obviously a First Amendment exception. Yeah.
Ron actually comments, Ron, who's listening on YouTube, something really important that I want to share with you guys. His comment is, well, great. Now that there's an now when there is an actual confiscation, people will not know how to react. Maybe march on the state capitol and demand that law be rescinded. So
ineffective, not going to happen.
Yeah, we've done that part, but I think the first part of his comment is really important. That this came out. This guy said, what he did. People on social media spread this around as a red flag confiscation, and now the next time this happens, when it is a real time, people will probably go, well, we got burned last time. We're not going to look at this time, which I hope isn't the case. I just hope next time people are actually cautious, that they actually look at the information, don't spread around the wrong information, that they look at the information and go, okay, is this true? Can we validate this? If so, absolutely. Rally up. Build a legal defense, call that sheriff's department.
Practically speaking, how does any well-intentioned, sincere, patriotic person do that? How do you verify the information? You can't. You don't have an investigative arm, an organization of people to look into what's being alleged.
So there's a few things that can be done, especially on social media, things that you can do to try to validate information. The first thing I do, I look at who's posting the information. That first and foremost. One of the things that was a big red flag to me when I was seeing some of this information come through as I was looking at it is a lot of the people giving details on what was happening in quote unquote real time were out of state people, but nobody in state had this intel. So you look at that and you go, how is it that somebody from Texas knows what's going on, but there's no neighbors or anything like that that know what's going on? I mean, that right there should tell you, like, hey, something's probably off here. Maybe it's a family member on the phone with them. That's different. But look at, what is their relation? Where are they located? If somebody from another state is telling you what's going on in your backyard, that should raise suspicion.
Suspect, yeah.
Then, real simple, ask them where the information came from. If you hear, which is what I heard all throughout this, my buddy who was there said so. Mm-hmm. My friend who was there said so. You want to know, who is that friend? Who is that buddy?
What's called hearsay.
Exactly.
And this is why these kinds of statements are not admissible in court, because the person who is actually making the claim isn't there to be cross-examined. So if that's the case, there's a reason for that. And that's because this person either doesn't know what they're talking about, or because they're not an authoritative person or a person who's honest and telling the truth, which you could determine immediately if they're in court to be examined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then some of the other stuff is kind of basic, right? And some of it is not going to yield results. But the first thing is, do a Google search, see if there's information out there. I mean, it's pretty easy to just search what's going on. And if you get 10 news sites and they've got camera crews on scene and they're videotaping it and there's video and photo evidence, they could still be giving you the wrong information. Don't get me wrong there, but at least you know that whatever is being said, there's actually something happening. And that was concerning to me when I started seeing people constantly posting saying, yeah, there's people there right now watching this happen, but there were no photos, there were no videos, there were no live streams, there's no anything.
The only pictures I see here, I've got libertyblock.com, The Truth About Guns, ammoland.com, and Off-Grid Survival.
Yeah. Yep. And
like you say, it's all stuff, really, there's screenshots of some of his posts.
Exactly. Yeah. So the only thing that you'll see as a photo that I saw from that event was a picture of the Westchester County SWAT armored vehicle. That is the only photo I saw that was actually a legitimate photo of the event. There were no other pictures. None, besides his social media posts. So when somebody's saying, yeah, my buddy's there on the ground, he's giving me this information as he's watching it, you gotta say, well, why doesn't your buddy have a picture? Why doesn't your buddy have a video? What are you talking about? Who is this buddy that you say you have? Who's there? It's really simple. It's just you're asking them to cite their source, and if there's no photo, if there's no video, you're now in a position where you're taking somebody's word for it, somebody on the internet who you probably don't know, and you're taking it as their word that it's somebody else's word, which is definitely an issue, and puts you in a pretty bad spot in terms of your credibility in general. And if you go and you share this around, and like I said, I did put up a post saying, hey, it looks like there's a red flag law thing going on in Putnam County. Tell you what, I put that up because I believed a few people that I feel bad about believing now. Because when I put that up, some people believed me. And I had to go out and recant my statement. And then people got really upset with me when I recanted my statement. They thought I was like working for the cops or something. And I'm like, no, I just think it's important if I made a mistake that I own up to that mistake and I tell you guys what that mistake is.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because what I'm noting in some of these posts are kind of strident anti-police language in here.
Yep.
That's a no. I mean, that doesn't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's somebody with an agenda.
Sure. Yeah. And that's the thing that we'll talk about in the break, after the break, because the music's playing. But there is more to talk about and discuss on this. So when we come back, we're going to talk about why are people still sharing fake information that they know is fake.
Yeah.
That's the next thing. So guys, we're going to take a break here. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Fiorella, a family-owned farm-to-table Italian restaurant with casual atmosphere at the newly renovated Rochester Public Market. Fiorella offers wood-fired, old-world-style pizza with naturally leavened dough, house-made fresh pasta, desserts, and gelato. Enjoy craft beers, imported Italian and New York State wines. Open Wednesday through Saturday for lunch and dinner. Wednesday evenings enjoy no corkage fee, and Thursday is gnocchi night. Call 434-5705 for reservations. View the menu on the web, restaurantfiorella.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention.
Live spot?
Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York on the WYSL stations.
All right, we are back back here on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We are talking about Putnam County, the standoff, what it was, what it wasn't. There are still a lot of questions. And I think the question we need to talk about is why people are making things up on social media. I think that is number one. The number one thing I want to know about is why were people and who was making up blatant lies on social media? And I'm not talking necessarily about the red flag piece, because in watching his videos, I can see where somebody would look at his videos and think that was what was going on. If you watch them again with some of the additional background information, you'll start to see that that's not true. But with no background information, looking at his videos, I can see why some people would think that was a red flag confiscation going on. But even when people were watching the videos with no background, people were asking questions. They were saying, are we sure this is what's going on? The guy says he has no guns. If he has no guns, how is this a red flag confiscation? He's saying he's unarmed. He's saying he doesn't have anything. How is this a red flag confiscation? So that's the question people should have been asking from the beginning. Some people did. A lot of other people didn't. They just jumped on it. They ran on this bandwagon. Some firearm-related media sites that are semi-reputable ran with a story that just wasn't true, and they posted. I saw some of these shared around the internet. I didn't save them, but there were some sites I'm like, holy crap, like that's not, I watched the guy's videos. Like, you guys just made that up. Who wrote this article? So with that being said, you guys have to ask yourself some questions about the situation, because some of the stuff I saw on social media about this, we were able to verify that wasn't true. So I'm going to share some of this stuff with you guys, because I think it's really important that you hear what some people were saying. So some people said that there was an armed militia there on site who had surrounded the police and prevented his arrest. Clearly not true. Clearly not true. Why would somebody make that up? Why, unless you're trying to encourage violence? I don't know. Why would you do that? Other people said there was an armed militia there that had a shootout with the police over the incident. Also not true. So you really have to be skeptical. And if you catch somebody perpetuating these type of stories, you need to call them out on it and say, where'd you hear that? And if you get my buddy who was on the ground told me story, you need to call him out on it right there and say, what do you mean your buddy on it? Who's your buddy on the ground? I'd like to talk with him and see why he's making this stuff up. Because that doesn't help anybody. In fact, the only thing that does help is the left and their fear of firearms.
There you go. You're going exactly where I was just about to go. These tactics smell to me. I mean, I hate to say this. I don't like saying this about anybody, but this sounds like, these anarchist leftists who want to exploit perhaps some veteran who's in distress. No. And they want to generate and gin up anti-gun sentiment. There you go. That's the gun people for you. They're all just a bunch of nuts, see?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I know that there's, and Ron and a few other people are commenting in saying, hey, I thought this was legit really happening. That's why I shared the information. No, I understand that. I actually shared some information I shouldn't have as well, which is why I'm bringing this up, why I think it's so important. I'm not talking about the information of it being red flag, because that was definitely perpetuated in a way that most people believed it was true. I'm talking about some of this other stuff that somebody literally just made up, like militias going and having a shootout with the police. That wasn't on anybody's Instagram. Like, some person took it upon themselves to make up that story, whether it was for an attention, whether it was to get people riled up, whether it was somebody on the left trying to make, the right look bad to scare people, whatever it was, everybody needs to ask, why would somebody make that up, and be extremely critical of this, extremely critical. So what I'm going to tell you guys is this. Something's going to happen again. It may be in New York. It may not be in New York. It may be red flag related. It might be SAFE Act related. It might be related to something totally different, totally separate. And when that comes up, and it will be on social media, before you hit that share button, take a moment and do just a few things. Look at where it's coming from. Look at who's posting it. Is it even a real account? The number of fake accounts I saw on there was a red flag all by itself. How do you know a fake account's a fake account? Pretty simple. Was the account created 5 hours ago? That's a pretty good indicator. Somebody just happened to create a Facebook account and they know everything about the situation that's been circulating on social media? Probably not. Do they have 17 friends, and if you're listening to the show and you have 17 friends on Facebook and you're a real person, I apologize, but statistically speaking, if you're a bot on the internet or a fake friend or a fake account, you have less than 100 friends on social media. If you're just getting started, you probably feel really discriminated against right now. I apologize. But these are realistic things. You see the account is telling you what's happening in your neighborhood and they're in Vegas or something, for example. Those are things that you should be highly skeptical of, and you should be looking at things very critically. You should be open-minded too, though. Don't be so skeptical that you don't believe somebody when they're actually in need of help. Just be skeptical enough that we're not sharing around bad information. I think that's one of the most important things I can impress on you guys today, because, many of us did believe it was a legit red flag confiscation, but the signs were there that showed us, whether we noticed it at that time or not, that it wasn't. And one of those was he himself said publicly on social media, I have no guns, I have no magazines. So if he was saying that, everybody should have taken a step back and said, how is it red flag confiscation if there's no guns to confiscate? And that should have been the question that put it to rest right then and there.
There's something else, too, that we need to point out here, and that is that, if you ignore the lessons of history, you're going to be doomed to repeat them, as the old saying goes. Mm-hmm. What have we learned from the French Revolution? We've learned that lawlessness begets lawlessness. So what you need to do when you find a politician who is out there supporting, some clearly unconstitutional bad idea like red flag laws, you need to not vote for that politician ever again. And you need to contact that politician's office, and you need to say, if you are going to undermine the Constitution, you will never get my vote again, and I'm going to get 10 people to never vote for you again. Yep. Because this is what happens. Because you can make the argument here. I understand reasonable minds can differ, but you can make the argument that the real impetus for all of this was the enactment of the red flag laws.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. You could definitely make that argument. And it's, it's important to say that, this situation would not have blown up the way it did at all if the red flag laws did not exist.
If people 100%. Think the government is not acting in their interests, then what you're doing is you're asking for civil war. Yeah. If the Constitution's being deliberately ignored by lawmakers out there, you're asking for anarchy.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
politicians are not kings and they're not gods. Yeah. People are not going to just submit.
No, absolutely.
Look at Hong Kong.
Up. Yeah, definitely. Hong Kong's a great example. I do want to respond to Robert and also Jason on Facebook. Robert says, I'm trying to figure out what your position is on it. Robert, my position is that there is a lot of unknowns here. We don't know where the truth lies. But that being said, this person needs help. and I'm in the position that we need to do better for our veterans, especially those suffering from PTSD. And my position is it's possible that law enforcement hasn't been fully forward about this situation as well. There's a lot of questions that they haven't answered, and at this point, they've kind of shut down any communication with the public on it. I have an issue with that. If they did the right things and this was an okay thing that they did, they should be able to be transparent about it. And Jason says Putnam County Sheriff is lying. It's possible. I'm not saying it's not. What I am saying, though, is that this person said he had no firearms and no magazines. That concurs with the sheriff department's press release that they did not take any firearms and it wasn't firearms related. So I think that we need to look at this as a learning experience for everybody on what can happen with social media when bad information gets out there. It pulls on people's heartstrings, and before you know it, a lot of untrue stuff circulates as fact, and it puts everybody in a really bad situation. All right, guys, that's the music. This is the end of the show. I will catch you guys next time on Radio Free New York.